All right, welcome everyone to the We Can't Believe They Gave Us a Show with Nick and Jim. I'm Jim Bernica,
And I'm Nick Magato.
and this is episode 14, and that means we're going to bring in Jen Kramer, our old friend. And I'm not saying she's old, because she's not, but she's just an old friend to us.
Thanks
Welcome
for
to the
having
show.
me. Thank you.
Yes. First of all, let's start with I can't believe you made us wake up this early to do this. How dare you?
Hey, you chose 8 a.m.
I know, I was just kidding, but I had to give you grief. I mean, everybody can, if they're watching, they can probably see my CPAP mark still. That's a thing.
At
Anyway,
least you're wearing it.
yes, and indeed, my wife appreciates it. Um, but I mean, old friend of ours, you were at our first two conferences, so you are an old school G to us, and we thought it'd be perfect for you to come on here to talk about something that's I think going on right now, and that's really the seasonal, depression stuff. So depression is a thing that happens year round, but man, when it gets dark unnecessarily early, and it seems like it stays dark all the time, like we're all living in Alaska, and then you add all the holiday stuff to it, and missing perhaps family members and everything else. I mean, it could take a toll. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to kind of talk about this and talk our way through what else we can do, but I'm gonna shut up because I'm talking way too much. So I'm done. Your turn.
You're just gonna turn it over to me like that?
Yeah, I mean
Just
that's
just talk. Okay.
I am so good at segues.
That
Um,
is.
it's kind of funny though, like when you think of the seasonal depression and everything, like most of us are like, why does this hit us so hard? And I think especially for people who live in Ohio and everything, that it literally is dark all the time now. Like we isolate, which is 1,000 times worse. And there's so many things I was just, discussing with one of my clients yesterday. He's like, this snow outside right now is killing me. He's like, I just want to stay inside. I just want to do all this stuff. And like, I don't want to leave the house. And I'm like, well, that's the absolute worst thing that we could possibly do right now. And I think that sometimes like we don't think out of the box enough and use these modern day things. And I was laughing the whole time him and I were sitting here talking because I'm like, they make heated coats now and heated socks and all of these things. And it's like, it is these simple luxuries, but it makes a huge difference. I'm one of those people that once the snow falls, once the temperature changes, I'm going to hibernate. And I bought a heated coat 2 years ago and it's a game changer. So it's simple little things we can do like that make it less miserable to go out in this weather and to still be doing the things that we need to be doing.
It's true.
Well, one of the things I know my wife particularly hates this time of year. It's always the time
But
change thing and
it's the
and that.
most wonderful time of the
Yeah.
year.
Well, it's just the daylight stuff, and then she's taken it a step further, and I guess she's talked to one of her a doctor of hers, and they said that, oh well, Ohio doesn't even have isn't at the even at the right angle of the sun to get all the vitamin D. And so I mean, what things can we do to help get through this time of year? Exercise. uh what else? Vitamin D, vitamin D supplements. I mean, where
Absolutely.
what can we do?
Well, and that's why I tell everybody they crack up. I'm like, Sam's Club sells vitamin D in bulk. Like, you should be, you know, taking it. Go tanning, like do these things. Like my chiropractor actually recommended tanning. I'm not a doctor. So like doing simple things like that, but obviously like staying in your routine, going to the gym, doing these things, not going to bed extra early just because it's dark out. I think that some of us then get in those bad sleep patterns too. Like, oh, well, it's dark out at 4 o'clock now. So, oh, it's bedtime at 7 or 8. Like we can't be messing up our circadian rhythm because then that just amplifies the depression symptoms. But I think too, like we need to use those coping tools that we use all the time. Like we need to be dating our spouse. We need to be doing those family things. We need to be, making sure that we're not isolating, doing simple things like every day, making sure that you're finding 5 things that you're grateful for, because it forces you to try to look for those things throughout the day. So instead of looking outside and being like, man, this really sucks, or, it's dark and gloomy and we're just feeding that depression, we're looking for those things throughout the day. And we do it as a family at dinner every night. So everybody knows at dinner, you're going to have to come up with 5 things that you're grateful for. And they can't be just willy nilly things, they have to be things from that day. And it forces you to look for the positives instead of just sitting in the negative.
Good. I like all that. I've, at the old age of myself, like, again, like, yeah, I'm not running anywhere. I mean, even, unless somebody's like chasing me. But beyond that, like, so even going for a walk, not the ideal thing in the winter here. But I've noticed this, and I noticed this years ago when I was a young lad before I even joined the fire service, when I worked retail places at the mall. That's where old people go and walk in the wintertime.
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
go to Planet Fitness for 9.99, and if you don't want to do that, if you're just a walker, the malls are open early, and you can join the people there and do your speed walking, and who gives a shit, right?
Well, and people don't think that either. They think they have to go to like Planet Fitness and do some 1 hour hardcore workout. Like, set small goals. If exercise isn't your thing, then set those small goals of let me go to the mall at least once a week and start like a healthy habit of just walking and getting out of the
Yes.
house.
And then another thing I just invested in, and this was, I mean, I want to say 20, $25 on Amazon, was like a UV light. I think they called it the sad light, but
Yep.
and the idea was to, you sit in front of that for 30 minutes a day, and that kind of gives you your outsideness that you would normally get, during the summertime.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many little things that we can find anymore that are, I don't know, like we overlook them. Like conversation cards, just to be able to sit there and talk to your spouse and not have to come up with, hey, like, let's sit here and try to talk about something. Like they sell conversation cards on Amazon. It's a good way to connect. And if you have kids, they sell them for kids too. So that way we're all still talking and connecting and doing those things that we need to do to prevent that isolation, even in our own homes.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
So, what are Jen? Maybe you could shed some light on maybe some resources if someone's out there suffering from this. What who could they reach out to? Nationwide or anything like that that they could find some resources or support in other ways. Do you know?
I honestly recommend anything that like the Army puts out. Like they have done so much research. I believe it's like US Veteran Affairs if you Google it, but they have done so much research. There's so many things and resources on their sites that, and especially that apply to, our paramilitary culture that we all live in. Like the stuff carries over really well. They have quizzes that you can take, tests, they have recommendations, they have resources. And again, like it starts with your family doctor too. Like if this is significantly impacting you to the point where you are getting into that severe depression or having that suicidal ideation, talk to your family doctor and start there and get into counseling. It helps to have somebody who's going to hold you accountable through this time too. Like that's why, as a counselor, most of the time I'm just sitting here trying to kick people in the butt all winter of, hey, we've said that we know we need to do XYZ, like let's do it. And if you didn't do it this past week, what were the barriers? What got in the way of you doing this? And how are we going to change that for the following week?
I love it. That's good stuff. Um, Kind of going to, the holidays, um, it can be tough for some people. I mean, they're meant for, getting together, getting closer, family. And when you lose a significant other or, somebody in your family, maybe it's your parents, whatever it may be, it makes these times even harder because you're missing that connection now. How can people, what are some recommendations, some suggestions on getting through that if they just have loss, or if they just, I mean, every year it's just not the same as it was?
Well, I would say that finding support groups is the best thing that you can do with that situation, because not a lot of people, might be walking in the same shoes with the loss of a spouse or a parent or something like that. So finding a support group, whether it's online or local in your area, that way you have that connection with other people who are experiencing the same feelings or are going through the same thing, and you can connect with those people and say, hey, this has really helped me this week to get through this, or have you tried this? And again, like going and finding grief counseling and doing all of these things. And I think it's hard too. Like that's the thing, is people expect these things to be like, oh well, I should go connect with a support group, or I should be excited to go like talk to somebody and try to feel better, but these things often feel painful to do. And that's the push too. Like if it feels like it's going to be tough to do, it's probably good for you.
Yeah. But no, that makes perfect sense. And it's hard too on us. I think, for the most part, the general public, they know they're going to be where they're going to be for Christmas. They know they're going to be doing family stuff, whatever it may be. Um, a lot of us, I mean, a third of us typically are going to be working that day.
Mhm.
And that makes it tough too, because we're missing out on all those family things. And I know Santa may come on Christmas Eve, or maybe they're celebrating Festivus instead of on the 23rd, they're celebrating it on the 22nd, whatever it may be. I don't know, but it makes it even tougher for us being on shift.
Well, like you said, like we have to adapt these holidays for our lives. And, like, and a lot of family members, for some odd reason, don't get that either. Like, hey, we're going to be doing Christmas over here and we can't come to your event here. And it comes down to setting boundaries with family and not, caving just because grandma wants us over here, mom wants us over here. It's what works best for your family. And what does, how do we make this the best for our family? And that's the priority, and work everybody else around. And setting boundaries too. I don't know why, like people, if you have unhealthy family members, like a lot of people, it amplifies the depression around the holidays because we have to go spend time with people who we don't necessarily enjoy spending time with. So setting those boundaries with people who maybe are unhealthy. Why are we putting ourselves in a situation that we know is going to increase the mental health symptoms? And why, if that's not something that's healthy for you, why are we going to do that just out of tradition or obligation? So setting those hard boundaries.
Yeah, it's always a tough thing. Crazy Uncle Larry always drives you nuts, right?
Mhm.
So let me come at you with a different approach here. With so as a a clinician, um, what could we do as a peer supporter to obviously lending an ear to a fellow firefighter or coworker that is suffering this seasonal disorder. How as a peer supporter could we do better to support those with this these issues or issues of loss of a family member, holidays, things like that. What can we do as peer supporters, would you say?
Well, I would say too, like hopefully as peer supporters, the people on your departments, and maybe some things that they have gone through. So if like, hey, this person lost somebody close to them, like let's check on them. And using hopefully that peer support like word judo that we all do, and not asking those yes or no questions, and not saying, hey, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. They're going to answer it that way. But using those, hey, I know you lost your significant other and this is a hard time of year, which prompts them to then say what they're going through, and really trying to match your peer support too to who we're talking to. So if we're talking somebody who's struggling, going through a divorce, has young kids, we're not going to send the single peer support guy over to talk to this person. We're going to maybe try to find somebody who's matched up a little better, who maybe has gone through a divorce and has been in those shoes and has gone through this of, hey, I've been there and this is how we navigated this first holiday season, or, just really lending that ear. Because again, it goes back to like that grief support group. It, you have that commonality with that person that other people don't share. And that's the major benefit of peer support, is that nobody else gets it and has walked in those shoes. So we want to definitely match up with the best fit for everybody if possible.
And
Well,
and
another thing you got to think about too is like the retirees,
Mhm.
in your department. If your department still has a close relationship with those retirees, as you age, things happen. You might lose a spouse, or so checking in on those, retirees too would be beneficial. It could be something that helped them a lot, a lot as well.
That's the unfortunate part, is I feel like our retirees just get put out to pasture and there's such a loss of connection to everything, to their identity, to everything that they've known throughout their whole career. So if we can invite them back to help with Santa or come back for a holiday dinner, things like that, or just invite them in for coffee once a month, to let them still have that connection. And they most of the time have a lot of wisdom and are welcome back. Like, you might have to kick them out after a couple hours because they're going to overstay their welcome sometimes, but they can be a wealth of knowledge, especially for the young people who haven't heard these things. And don't these retirees have experienced things that these young people never will. So just being able to hear the history and the things that I think are being lost in the fire service too.
yeah, and what Nick was saying earlier about the, how we could do things as a peer supporter. I think a lot of it is just being a good friend. If you know somebody has had loss, they don't have plans, bring them in. Have them come to your stuff. Just be inclusive and don't forget about those, and just be a good friend. That's what it really comes down to. It doesn't matter if you're peer support. Yeah. Anything else, guys? I know we actually went through, I think, quite a lot in a short amount of time.
I would say too, like, I think one of the toughest things is that, you know, as we know, like, finances cause a huge issue around this time. So not overspending too. Like, it's Christmas. Like, don't overspend and cause yourself more stress. And then we're overworking and then we're less time at home, that causes issues. So these kids probably have everything they need, or your family probably has everything they need. So set a budget and actually stick to it. Don't overextend yourself to the point that it's going to make you miserable. And then it's going to lead to the overworking, and we're working three departments, and it just exacerbates
We're
everything.
we're paying off Christmas from 2025 and at Christmas of 2026
Yeah.
still. Yeah.
And that's the reality, is, nobody needs anything and everybody's going to be happy no matter what. So, don't overextend yourself.
I'm happy as long as I get my underwear. I mean, that is a
I,
need.
I think everybody's happy once you get your underwear, Jim.
I think they are too. Yes. By that time of the year, my underwear is not spiritual, but it is holy.
See, I've always had this idea of like amassing 366 pairs of underwear so
Ooh.
that I have one for every day, and then I just have to do laundry once a year. Like, hey, right?
Some things shouldn't be said live on air.
Man logic.
I'll give me a pass on the underwear, but not you.
Yeah, okay.
It's just dirty. All right. Well, thank you, Jen, for showing up again.
Of course.
Mhm.
We appreciate you.
I
Ohio's
appreciate you guys.
finest. All right. Well, let's get you out of here. I know you got a busy day full of sad clients that you're going to try to make unsad by sharing some of these thoughts.
All the
And
things.
Nick and I don't know about Nick, but I'm probably gonna go back to bed. All right. Well, that's Nick,
That's Jim.
and that was Jen, and we'll see you guys next month. Happy holidays, Festivus,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff.
See you next year.
Oh, look at you. Good job.